He's good at giving orders, orders that make us dumber, orders that give us less context. You see the picture, you see the little chyron on the screen, those words, and you see where we're going with this. He's issued another order for the removal of a photo of enslaved man at the national park because nobody needs to see the truth about America's history. According to a recent report, the Trump administration has ordered the removal of a photo of an enslaved man's scars. Information about slavery, too, from national parks. We don't need to see this, except we do. What is that thing that they say about history? If you don't, something about then it gets repeated or something? Sure, I need to look that up. We're all getting dumber if we follow this. And that's probably what they want. One of the most famous Civil War era portraits of a slave will reportedly be removed from the national parks and museums under the Trump administration. It's an 1863 photo taken of escaped enslaved man Gordon, titled The Scourged Back, shows severe whipping scars. It's at the center of the debate. Images reportedly under review by the Trump administration include signs referring to racial discrimination and the hostility of white people. That, according to the Washington Post. So those signs that school children would see, I believe they were in some school books, maybe up north, or maybe not here in Georgia. Okay. Georgia still has books, folks, if you can believe it, textbooks where they talk about how slavery wasn't so bad. You know, they sang old hymns to pass the time. The Negroes did. They were happy. There was a familial sense getting work done. Not so bad. And all that heat with an overseer. Thanks, Georgia. This part, though, the signs under review by Trump, whites only water fountain. I won't see that. It existed. In an article published by the Washington Post on Monday, September 15th, the outlet reported 4 anonymous sources familiar with the matter said the removal orders are tied to the 79-year-old's March 27th executive order titled, always has to use this word truth. It's abusing the word truth, folks. Restoring truth and sanity to American history instead of what it should have been called. Something like propaganda and craziness injected into America. Add the word more craziness. It directs the Interior Department to eliminate information that reflects a corrosive ideology that disparages historic Americans. You mean wipe out their truthful legacy? Look, did George Washington cut down the cherry tree? Which one of the presidents could not tell a lie? These things happen. Benjamin Franklin, it took him a long time, okay? Electricity, something about that. The printing press, yeah, the newspaper, he was big on that. Even tabloid stuff. Why am I talking about Ben Franklin? Because he loved a slave, like in the worst way. He didn't want slaves to go away. Needed them, wanted them. So we shouldn't. I just watched a documentary, and it's one that I believe it's on PBS that exists for now, in case the funding's been pulled on that one. But no, corrosive ideology that disparages historic Americans. Okay. The White House is denying that a decision has been made, which means a decision has absolutely been made. The decision has absolutely been made. Look for things to be covered up, erased, destroyed, burned, whatever. This stuff, we got to get rid of it. Okay. We want to be proud and we don't want to think about our conduct. This is fake news. No decisions have been made on this exhibit. It's under review to ensure compliance with the executive order. White House spokesman Davis Engel telling people. One of the portraits is reported to be the scourged back, a photo taken in 1863, as we have been sharing with you. It shows the scarred back of escaped enslaved man Gordon. I remember this picture. Who could forget? They want you to forget. According to the Met Museum, the marks on Gordon's back are severe whipping scars he received and is perhaps the most famous of all known Civil War era portraits of slaves. Interpretive materials that disproportionately emphasize negative aspects of US history or historical figures without acknowledging broader context or national progress can unintentionally distort understanding rather than enrich it. National Park Service spokeswoman Rachel Paulitz giving the party line. She's a good soldier. The outlet added that officials with the National Park Service are broadly using Trump's orders to apply them to information on racism, sexism, slavery, gay rights, or persecution of indigenous people. Images reportedly under review by the Trump administration include signs referring to racial discrimination and the hostility of white people, the Post said, citing a source familiar with the matter, as well as documents reviewed by the outlet. I told you it's true. In August, Trump criticized the Smithsonian Museums, calling them, quote, out of control, says the kettle, and too woke for sharing images of slavery. He wrote the museums throughout Washington, but all over the country, are essentially the last remaining segment of woke. Smithsonian is out of control, where everything discussed is how horrible our country is, how bad slavery was, and how unaccomplished the downtrodden have been. Nothing about success, nothing about brightness, nothing about the future. Well, the future is now, right? The future is now, and I get it. Some people want to rewrite history. They want to talk about, imagine if I said, I'm such a successful business woman, but I had a bunch of bankruptcies. I just, are you that great? I declared myself and erase all other documentation because this is what it is. I I can only speculate how I would be as a white American. And it's probably not fair to do this, but I think so often Black Americans have a unique perspective because we're existing in a predominantly white prescriptive world. So I kind of get it. I'm not, but I kind of get it. And so I'll play along with this scenario and I'll tell you, I wouldn't give a damn, okay, if you told the truth about slavery and I were white. I'd say, oh, that's awful. I want to be better. This is sick. We must never repeat this, never again. That's what I would say. Boy, I'm glad that we're pushing this out there so people know this is where we came from, folks. We don't ever want to go back there. But that's just me. And I think that's a lot. No, it's not just me. That's a lot of people. Okay. They actually can handle the truth. And you know what? Little Black and brown children have been able to handle the truth about this country for a long time because it smacks them in the face every time they leave the house. Even when they're small, they get their lessons early. I think little white children's and white soccer moms, and I think everybody can handle the truth if you start giving it to you. Just start with a little spoonful. Ah, you remember that little airplane thing I used to do with my daughter? A lot of times she would just spit it out on me. Spoon feed them the truth. They're gonna be just fine. I promise. The truth shall set you free. Gee whiz. How many more days? Years? How many more years do we have left in this administration?